What screams unprofessional in the workplace? Yelling. I had a boss years ago who thought it was appropriate to close his office door and yell at employees. He was shocked when HR paid him a visit and explained this was not acceptable behavior. It sucks when it's the CEO and the company doesn't have an HR department. Taking a dump in a co-worker's trash can. This actually happened at my wife's office. Several times. Yes, the person was fired when management found out who it was. Crap on Deborah's desk. Like a boss. Replying to patients' negative Google reviews with a long, patronizing rant in which you publicly release so much personal, insurance-related information that it may potentially be a HIPAA violation. Hello. Former employer. Glad I left after 5 days. Amazing. You'd think they'd fear HIPAA more than a bad review. Not proofreading emails to clients and vendors. It's downright freaking embarrassing. Below is an example of an email my office manager sent to a vendor that I was copied on. Please remove Danielle Smith from your list. She not longer work for PSC. Please send all correspondence regarding project to definitely HIC. Note, names have been changed. Crazy but true. In many companies, the higher the position, the worse they are at emails. In my last job, my boss told me to shorten my emails when the audience was upper level execs because they have short attention spans and they won't even read things that aren't basically bullet points. And the ones they send were very similar to your example. Non-stop frickin' talking when you were hired to do a thing that isn't non-stop frickin' talking. I'm looking at you, Marcus. I know a lot of people meet their future spouses in the workplace, so I'm not necessarily against workplace dating, but I am against people who continually fish off the company pier. I work in a company support department and my female, mid-30s colleague is dating our 24-year-old student admin assistant. They get into weekly fights to the point that she's actually tried to communicate orders to him through me, because they aren't talking. When they're on a break, she'll start a flirtation with a man outside our department, only to ghost him a week later, expecting me to deal with them if they call for support. I've told her I was done with being put in the middle of her nonsense, so now she ignores me and I'm thankfully left out of the drama. My boss won't do anything about it and I already have plans to leave next year. Emailing the office to solicit sales for your pampered chef or urban hobby. I am okay with Girl Scout cookies or if someone brings in something the kids are selling, but when it's you and clearly for profit, don't bother co-workers. If you don't want me to be doing the thing I'm currently doing, take it up with my boss. He's the one who told me to work on this. If you have a problem with it, talk to him about IT. I don't give a crap if you're upset. I'm not looking like an butthole when he comes down and wonders why the thing he asked me to do isn't done yet. Yeah, okay, but my boss said I had to stop what I was doing and go 4 floors up to your desk and find out why you haven't completed the task I emailed you about 5 minutes ago yet. So, do me a favor and be quick about it because he'll be on me about why I haven't completed the task he interrupted to send me up here to interrupt you. I saw someone come into the office with sweatpants on, with juicy embroidered on the bum, for a job interview. She was not hired. She sounds like the type that also wears a bottle of Avon rather than shower. Excessive dong fart sex jokes. It's funny if it's just my group in our section of the office, later on a Friday when we're just relaxing a bit more, but please, stop pulling that crap in the middle of a meeting as if it's your only identity, especially if the other people in the room respond with complete silence. It makes them uncomfortable, and they probably don't know whether to laugh or tell you to shut the frick up. For all the blue collar people out there, showing up on site with untied boots, sweatpants, and a shirt you got out of a case of beer. Listen, we all get a little dirty here so nobody is asking for a collared shirt and pressed slacks, but for God's sake get some proper workwear, and the untied boots just makes me think that you don't know how to tie them at all. When your boss constantly demoralizes you by telling you suck at your job and you're the worst but he gets away with it because he's only joking and he wouldn't tease me if he didn't like me, I call bulls. Putting your employees down constantly can make them internalize the insults and start insulting themselves, especially when they have depression. being interviewed by the guy who would be my potential new manager who's wearing salmon board shorts and flip-flops. All the perks of the job not being good salary, benefits or 401k plan. Nope. The perks they pitch include Nerf guns and Lego in the office and pajama Fridays. The is an office environment. Welcome to being a software engineer in 2017. Making unwelcome personal comments to people. A young co-worker of mine once cornered me in the lunchroom. I'm sitting there eating my lunch and reading a book, and he starts in, "You look like someone I used to know." Okay, whatever. My ex-girlfriend hug. For the next 5 minutes I was treated to a summary of his relationship with this person, the details of how she cheated on him, and the fact that I am apparently much nicer and much prettier than her. I am engaged, as I've mentioned to this idiot multiple times. I have zero interest in being anything more than his coworker. Want to know the kicker? He's actually dating another girl in the company, who helped him get the job in the first place. She's overheard him one-sidedly flirting with me enough times that now she gives me stink eye when we pass in the hallway. Thanks a lot, Tom. Go frick yourself. She gives me stink eye, then give her the pink eye. I had a colleague who got really into church. One day she walked into my office, sat in the chair across from me and proceeded to give me her "I love the Lord and here's why you should" speech for 20 minutes. Frick off, Susan. This is neither the time nor the place. Showing up to a meeting of 3 or more people without a way to take notes. If it's one-on-one, fine, we're just chatting. People I work with make crap up all the time because they're afraid of the CEO. I can't lie for crap because I have a tell you could see from space. So I write down everything anybody requests, completes, or promises. Then when we go into the next meeting, circular firing squad, I've got a moleskine flak jacket. I got yelled at once for confirming a decision that had been made verbally in an email after the meeting, because I was forcing an exec to write something down. Yeah. One of our vendors talked major crap about another vendor that's vital for us. Like really venomous stuff. Like, lady, I don't care. Just sell your overpriced crap and GTFO, I don't have time for your spiel. I hated that when I was temping as a receptionist for a pretty large company. Most of the vendors, while waiting, would eventually start talking crap about another one. It made me see them all as unprofessional, and I started telling them to have a seat well across the lobby. People who talk about all their medical and financial problems all day. Also, people who just talk too much in general. A little conversation is fine, but when you literally stop working and keep talking, it's a problem. Politics. Unless your job involves politics. If your job doesn't involve politics, you shouldn't really talk about it. Same with religion and money, unless your jobs involve those subjects. Oh my god, check out that girl's butt. Josh, just put the produce on the shelf. I don't have time to sexually harass the customer. Yoga pants spandex trying to pass that as dress pants. Let's just stop. You know those aren't within dress code, not to mention your crotch length skirt you try and wear. Not dressing for the weather season. Heavy clothes and jackets in summer, skirts and short sleeves in winter, and then complaining about the office temperature everyone else is fine with, and bringing in your own heater, messing with a thermostat to make yourself comfortable at the expense of everyone else. Gum cracking, number, just no, slurping, loud personal calls. There are so many. It is amazing that any of us survive the workplace. That's not just signs of being unprofessional. Those are also signs of a jerk. Twirling your hair and wiggling your leg while you talk to each and every male person in the office. Chicka, we're all laughing at you, even the dudes. Dang, I twirl my hair all the time without thinking about it, now I feel weird about it. Sharing personal information that's too personal. This one woman, however, one day, she spent an hour talking about how she was in a polyamorous relationship for years and how she lived with them and how it's so different being that she's now married to a woman. No judgments at all. However, we are at work. We are being paid to get a job done, not to talk about such things in front of people that you work near. Although, full digression, the information itself didn't bother me, just the location and timing, in very close proximity to each other. She would literally spend all day talking about stuff while simultaneously complaining about how she had too much work on her plate. Lady, do your dang job. No one cares that your wife is mad that you find Cheryl Theron hot. Flip side, asking super personal questions of your co-workers. I had a co-worker who kept asking one of the other girls in the months leading up to her maternity leave how her cervix was doing. Every single freaking morning, she would say good morning and follow up with and how's your cervix. Office gossip. People don't realize how dangerous this can be. Someone will eventually overhear what you say, take it as 100% truth, and go straight to HR with it. You can ruin careers, people. Asking inappropriate questions at work. My manager, I kid you not, actually asked me if I got sexy with my boyfriend. I was totally shocked that anyone, especially my manager, would be asking about my sex life. No thank you, that's between just my boyfriend and I. Having your attention on something else while dealing with a client. Like the hairdresser who dries your hair without looking at it, paying attention to the conversation the other hairdresser is having with the other client at the next seat. She blow dries your hair lightly just by brushing her hand through it in slow, soothing motions until it is completely water-free, dehydrated, turned to oregano. 7 years, 2 months and 10 days later, her hand feels unusual. It finally feels dry. Or the saleswoman who you go up to and ask if they carry this jacket in size M, who is chatting with another client and doesn't even look at you when she responds $25. True stories. It's amazing how many people don't know how to type up an email that doesn't contain spelling and grammar errors. It makes it so incredibly difficult sometimes to decipher what someone is saying. If you have several part-time employees going to college, it's not smart if you're the general manager to go up to all of them to tell them in no uncertain terms that you see no value in having part-time college employees. A culture of yelling can become contagious in any workplace, but eventually leaves employees feeling less engaged and less productive. Good managers don't need to yell, because they have other methods such as performance reviews to motivate workers. Poor managers will simply turn up the volume and hope for the best. The result is a dysfunctional company culture that leaves workers and management increasingly estranged and isolated from one another. Oh, I have another one time I went into the Sunoco down the street from my house. I was about 7 months pregnant, and this crazy lady with pink glasses that works there starts telling me about her episiotomy she just had and offered to show me so I'd be ready if I needed one. No thanks lady, I'll just take $10 on pump 4. The company hired a guy for middle management in a local office. He was doing okay for a year, but he had access to personal information about some employees, and then a rumor went around about a new girl in his department that had HSV too. He got his dumb butt fired so hard over that. Not listening to that beep on your phone thing when I try to call you from across the fricking store, Cheryl, while you're dicking around when I'm trying to explain everything to my long butt line of 8 people at my register, Cheryl. Nepotism. And it is something that permeates the upper end of a company. It's less prevalent in bigger cities where there is more competition, but in smaller cities it's a real thing. People will hire their relative or friend over a more qualified person. Late to the party, but I was interning for an ad agency over the summer. Well, management got all the interns together for a picture of us wearing a shirt that said intern on it in the style of the company logo. So everyone goes to the restroom to change into their shirt except one kid. Right out in the open, in front of an office of about 50 people. This kid pulls his button down and undershirt off and puts on his new shirt. I was walking by, picking up some copies, and did a triple take. Instantly reminded me of the scene in The Office where Michael changes in his office and Pam sees him naked. Except this kid took his clothes off in front of the whole office. He spent most of the afternoon in our HR office. People who complain when you ask them to do their job, or they demand some sort of kickback. Case in point, my spare parts secretary who I've bitched about many times on Reddit. Her trademark is that she is the only person allowed to order food for meetings, and she gets to raid it before even people in the meeting get a shot. Getting into a fight with another department in her first hour of employment. Context: I was training her. We were in client relations and I needed documents from the claims department. I thought it would be a good idea for her to meet those people, so I tell her where they were sitting and which document I needed. In hindsight, I should have gone with her, but we were understaffed and overworked and I didn't think much could go wrong. About 5 minutes later I get a phone call from a friend in that department with the urgent request to come and get that banshee. I could literally hear her screaming through the phone. Turns out she got to that department and he had asked her to wait 5 minutes while he finished the paperwork on another client, which is when she started hurling abuse at him. By the time she was fired 2 months later, she had been in fights with literally everyone, showed up late half of the time or often enough, not at all, and the work she did do was subpar. Talking over cube walls, eating nuts with your mouth open, reheating last night's fish dinner, leaving your ringtone on max volume. Professionalism is often a matter of basic empathy for the people around you. People who are constantly tired or fall asleep. I've had to wake people up at work and it pisses me off every single time. My friend CubeMate has sleep apnea, so he has a tendency to fall asleep. A heavy pen to the metal filing cabinet above his head will usually wake him up real quick. It's also really entertaining. Talking about going home all the time. I mean, nobody really would rather be at work, but saying it just seems like one of those things that you obviously shouldn't do. Oops. I have a 2-syllable name that could be shortened to 1. The shortened one isn't even common, and I don't use it or allow it yet. For some reason in my current job, a co-worker and my boss tried that without even asking if it was okay. Shortening my name is way too intimate. I don't mean sexually. For a workplace. I could write an essay just from the douche canoe next to me, ignoring most phone calls that get sent over, never being at your desk cause you're always downstairs heating up food, HDFJSDNSJSHD judging all girls you talk to on the phone by how hot they sound, making comments about every girl's looks after they leave, slamming your phone down when you have someone that wants to talk to you, slamming whatever is in your hands on your desk when a call gets sent to you, basically being the frick knuckle that sits next to me. It's not uncommon in my office to encounter pro-level dong swinging or not understanding the concept of cubicle voices. The passive aggression is also pretty strong, to the point where the boss has to intervene to keep some departments from imploding. There is also a fair bit of open swearing, and having long discussions about personal morality, religion, and politics completely at random. But dang it, I refuse to stop being me because others have thin skins. Taking long smoke breaks or just hanging out in the eating area. I guess sometimes we aren't doing much, but there is always work to do and it's not hard. Heck, you all can be on Reddit while you do it. Not caring about how they dress or groom themselves. If you can't be fricked to do even that, why should you be trusted with anything else? If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.